This is Boxing Talk 8576. This is a response vid to Boxing Beats and Rhymes. Please subscribe to his channel. He has a really good channel. When I started, doing my vids, he was one of the guys that I used to look at, and a couple other guys, and started doing my videos. So, shout out to Boxing Beats and Rhymes. This is about Boxing Beats and Rhymes did a vid on Adrien Broner beats Marcus Maidana and rematch. It's 2 points on there I want to talk about. One is he said that Maidana had a great night and kind of hinted at that Adrien Broner had a down night or a bad night. A lot of people were saying Adrien Broner, not just Boxing Beats and Rhymes. A lot of people are hinting at that he just had a bad night and he wasn't on his A game. Let's go back to what Adrien Broner does best, or what he has done up until this point. About the success that he has achieved through his style of fighting. He's a flat-footed, walk you down, low volume power puncher that stands mostly in a Philly shell. He doesn't move his head. He relies on a Philly shell a lot of the times in a fight, and he has been successful up until the point to where he fought Marcus Maidana. Marcus Maidana used his jab, was able to hit Adrien Broner even when he was in the Philly shell by coming over the top of the Philly shell and landing looping punches, hurting Adrien Broner. In my opinion, Adrien Broner did not have a bad night. I agree Marcus Maidana had a really good night, but Adrien Broner did not have a bad night. Adrien Broner came in there and fought his A game and got beat at his A game. That's what happened. That's really what happened. He came in there on his A game and got beat. Let me give you some examples. A fighter like Tim Bradley, when he fought Ruslan Provodnikov, Tim Bradley did not fight his A game that night because Tim Bradley is not a fighter that stands in the pocket and exchanges punches with you. Tim Bradley was fighting in a style that allowed Ruslan's style, which is Ruslan is a fighter that likes to stay in the pocket and exchange, would allow Ruslan to have success in that fight. What Bradley does best when he's on his A game, he moves around, gives you angles, uses his jab, throwing combination punches. So he had a bad night that night of the style of fight that he chose to fight that night, which wasn't his A game fight, wasn't his fight that he fights to have the most success. Another fighter, we're going to go back a little bit, Sugar Ray Leonard. When he fought in his first fight against Duran, he was another fighter that fought in the pocket and tried to exchange power punches with Roberto Duran, which Roberto Duran does that better than Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard, when he's most effective, when he's on his A game, is when he moves around, gives you angles, throw combination punches using his jab. So those were fighters that had a bad night, in my opinion. Adrien Broner got beat doing what he does best. Not what he does not do best, what he does best. And for a lot of people having sayings that Adrien Broner will get on his feet and move around the ring in the second fight and be on his toes more. I don't see where he's going to be on his toes more. He has not shown me yet that he can fight on his toes for 12 rounds. He's not going to be able to just snap his fingers and all of a sudden just start fighting on his toes and throwing a lot of volume of punches. Now, I agree he's going to be more competitive in this fight, but that doesn't, in my opinion, say that he's going to win the fight. I still pick Marcus Maidana for this rematch. I picked Adrien Broner in the first matchup because I didn't think Marcus Maidana was going to be the fighter that would explore what Adrien Broner doesn't do well in the ring, which is flat-footed, don't move his head, and don't throw a lot of punches. And I thought a fighter like Keith Thurman would beat Adrien Broner, because Adrien Broner has flaws as far as the way he fights and what Keith Thurman brings to the table. But Marcus Maidana was able to do some of the things that Keith Thurman does in the ring, which is move around, use his jab, and use a lot of angles on Adrien Broner, and was able to land his power shots. So I gave Marcus Maidana a lot of credit that he was able to keep up and sustain that through most of the fight. And I just don't believe Adrien Broner will be able to just make really good adjustments that he needs to make in one training camp. I think he will make the fight a little bit better than the first fight because he's going to come more determined and more hungry because he lost. So I got Marcus Maidana winning this fight. It may be a little bit closer than last fight, but I still have Marcus Maidana winning this second rematch. The second point that he talked about, that a lot of people were talking about the hate that people have on Adrien Broner. People hating Adrien Broner, they couldn't wait for him to lose. But Adrien Broner brought this stuff on himself. When you come out and say, I'm never going to lose, I'm just like, or better than Floyd Mayweather was when he was 23. He even said out of his mouth, he was a better fighter at 23 than Mayweather was at 23 because he fights like Mayweather fights right now. See, Adrien Broner had this misconception that Mayweather fights the way he fights right now, which is so far from the truth. Adrien Broner and Mayweather are different fighters. The only thing that is the same is they both do the Philly shell, but Mayweather does it way better, as we see right now. Mayweather is a way better mover. He's a sharper counterpuncher, and Mayweather don't throw a whole lot of punches just like Broner. But Mayweather's a sharper counterpuncher, and Mayweather does the Philly shell way better. So that's the only thing that they do alike was the Philly shell. So Adrien Broner had this, I don't know where he got it from, overconfidence that he fights better than Mayweather did when Mayweather was 23. And Adrien Broner thought he was a superstar. He thought he had made it. I remember, the build up to him and Paulie Malignaggi. It's good to, promote the fight, the build up. And then, but after the fight, Paulie Malignaggi wanted to shake his hand, and then he wanted to go to, I won the fight and I took your girl. See, stupid clown stuff. He did a lot of clown things which turned people off. And people that's tuning in and pay money, they can make their own assessments whether they like the fighter or not. And they decided they didn't like his attitude. They didn't like the fact that he thought he made it already, which he did not make it. People want to see you pay your dues before you get up there and start blabbering at the mouth about you're going to be going down as undefeated, one of the best fighters in history. We want to see you pay your dues first. So when he lost, people came out and got on him, called you out on it. You said you would never lose. You said you were the best. Next to Floyd Mayweather, you was going to be the next person to take over boxing. He still has a chance because he's young, but you thought that you was just heir to the throne without going through the steps, and people got on you. Now, people throwing stuff at him when he left the ring and all that was childish. They shouldn't did. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't go that far as a fan. You can't go that far. You can voice what you want at your mouth, but you can't go that far as trying to throw bottles at the guy after the guy came out of a tough fight, and things like that. But I do commend Boxing Beats and Rhymes. He said, hey, I'm not